Ever get that feeling? You know when you hear a certain rhythm and it's like your foot just has to start tapping?
Oh, yeah.
There's this invisible force pulling you in.
Hmm.
That's the power of rhythm. And today we're going deep on how it actually works.
And not just how it works on the surface. We're going all the way down to the mathematical and logical structures behind the music you love.
Right. We're joined today by an expert who can help us unpack all of this.
Okay.
We're diving into an interview with musician and author Jack Lima, who's basically rewritten the book on rhythm with this new system he's created.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this? It's causing quite a stir.
It really is fascinating work. See, Lima argues that the way we traditionally learn rhythm, well, it gets the job done to a point, is kind of like trying to build a house without really understanding the physics of how structures work.
Okay, I can see that. We learn our scales, our time signatures, but there's not always this deeper understanding of why certain rhythms work together the way they do.
Exactly. Lema calls this over-reliance on tradition empiricism.
Hmm.
It's like trying to learn a language by just mimicking phrases without ever understanding the grammar.
Oh,
You might get some things right, but you're missing the bigger picture.
so it's like you can kind of fake it till you make it with rhythm, but Lima's system is about giving musicians that deeper grammatical understanding.
Precisely. And he illustrates this with a great example, the time signature 6/8.
Okay,
You've definitely heard it before, right? Think Irish jigs, some rock ballads.
totally. Though now that you mention it, a waltz and a rock ballad, both in 6/8 sound completely different.
And that's exactly Lema's point.
Ah.
Traditional notation just lumps them together. But Lema's system digs deeper. He's identified 157 distinct rhythmic formulas to account for all those subtle variations we hear.
Whoa, 157. We're talking way beyond your basic four-quarter time here. How does he even begin to break all that down?
It all comes down to applying mathematical principles to rhythm. Instead of just a handful of time signatures, he looks at the way each beat is divided. Binary, ternary, quaternary subdivisions.
Okay, I'm going to need you to break that down a bit more for me and for anyone listening who might not be fluent in music theory jargon.
Sure,
What does that actually sound like?
you got it. Think of a simple 4/4 beat, the kind you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Now imagine dividing those beats into 2, 3, or even 4 parts. So instead of just quarter notes, you've got eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes.
So it's like taking that basic beat and adding more and more layers of complexity within it.
Yes. And what's revolutionary about Lima's system is that it gives us a precise way to notate all of these subdivisions. It's like he's invented this whole new language for rhythm.
And having this new language, this deeper understanding, it's not about limiting what you can play, right? It's actually the opposite.
You've got it. Think of it like having a super detailed map.
Okay.
You've suddenly got all these back roads and shortcuts you never even knew existed.
But you can still choose to take the main highway if you want to. It's about having more choices and understanding the terrain better.
Exactly. Lima's system is all about unlocking creative potential and helping us understand why certain rhythms evoke such specific feelings.
Okay, that has me completely hooked. But let's put a pin in that for just a second. When we come back, I want to dig into how this system actually plays out in the real world, both for musicians and for those of us who just love to listen. So we've established that Lima's system is all about understanding the building blocks of rhythm on this deeper, almost mathematical level.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to dig into how this actually plays out for, musicians out there in the real world.
Absolutely. Let's take composers, for example. With Lima's system, they're not just limited to those tried and true rhythms we've all heard before.
Yeah.
Imagine having this whole new palette of rhythmic colors to work with.
It's like the difference between, I don't know, using a basic set of crayons versus having this huge box of professional grade oil paints.
Right.
Suddenly, there are so many more possibilities.
That's a great way to put it. And for improvisers, this system can be a real game changer. Instead of just relying on instinct or familiar patterns, they can improvise with much more intention and understanding.
I played rhythm guitar in a band for years, and improv was always the most intimidating part. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't have this system back then.
Oh, yeah.
Having a deep understanding of those building blocks, those rhythmic formulas, gives you so much more freedom to explore.
It's like having that map we were talking about earlier. You can see all the routes, all the potential detours, and even if you wander off the beaten path, you still have a sense of where you are.
Exactly. And the system isn't just for musicians who are creating the music. It also has profound implications for those of us who are listening.
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever noticed how some music just makes you want to tap your foot while other songs get you up and dancing? I'm wondering if this system could help explain that.
You're exactly right. With Lima's system, we can start to identify those subtle variations that give different musical styles their unique flavor. It's like he's given us a new set of ears.
It's like those magic eye posters. Once you
Yeah.
see the hidden image, you can't unsee it. It changes the whole way you experience the image.
That's such a great analogy. Lima's system gives us that same aha moment with music. We start to hear those nuances we might have felt before but couldn't quite articulate.
This is also fascinating, though I have to admit, I am a little hung up on this idea of Lima's system being a definitive language of rhythm. Yeah. Doesn't that seem a little, well, limiting? I mean, isn't part of the beauty of music that it's always evolving?
I understand where you're coming from. But think of it this way. Having a definitive system in this case isn't about restricting creativity. It's about providing a common language, a shared understanding that allows for even greater exploration and innovation.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like if we're all speaking the same language, even if it's a very complex language, it's easier to understand each other and to build on each other's ideas.
Precisely. Think of it like the periodic table in chemistry. It established a framework that allowed scientists to understand the properties of elements and to even discover new ones.
So Lima's system isn't about putting rhythm in a box. It's about giving us the tools to understand and explore its infinite possibilities.
Exactly. It's about breaking down those old barriers, not erecting new ones.
That's a much better way to look at it. Now it makes me think about all the different ways music from around the world uses rhythm. I'm curious to know if Lima's system takes that into account.
That's a great question, and it brings us to one of the most exciting aspects of Lima's work. He actually argues that traditional music theory, with its emphasis on Western classical music, only gives us a very narrow view of rhythm.
Yeah, so much of what we think of as music theory really does seem to just focus on those Western classical traditions.
It really does.
I'm glad to hear that Lima's system takes that broader perspective.
Oh, absolutely. With 157 rhythmic formulas, his system can encompass a much wider range of musical styles and traditions than anything we've had before.
Wow, now that's comprehensive.
It really is.
Does he give any specific examples of how this works in practice?
He does. In the interview, he talks about how he used his system to create a new arrangement of Carinhoso,
Okay.
a classic Brazilian choro song.
Okay, yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with that one. It's got that really infectious groove.
Exactly. And Lima found that traditional notation just couldn't capture the subtle rhythmic nuances that give the song its unique feel. So
Yeah,
he used his own system to create a more precise, more authentic transcription.
that's amazing. So with his system, you could potentially transcribe music from any culture in a way that truly captures its rhythmic essence.
That's the idea. And it's
Hmm.
not just about notation. Imagine musicians being able to learn and understand rhythms from all over the world, being able to communicate and collaborate across cultural boundaries.
Wow. It's like this system has the potential to unlock a whole new level of musical understanding and creativity. That's pretty amazing.
It really is. It's about recognizing that incredible diversity of rhythmic expression that exists in the world and finding a way to appreciate it on a deeper level.
This has been such a fascinating conversation. Lima's work really is revolutionary,
It is.
and it makes you realize how much more there is to learn, even in areas that we think we understand.
Absolutely. It's a great reminder that music at its core is a universal language.
Yeah,
And Lima's system gives us this amazing new tool to decipher that language, to really understand its grammar and syntax.
it's like he's given us a key to unlock a secret door in our brains.
Right.
The part that connects with music on this primal, visceral level. And it makes you wonder what other hidden structures or patterns we might find in music or even in other art forms if we just know how to look for them.
You've hit the nail on the head, this idea of there being these hidden structures in art and music just waiting to be discovered. It's incredibly exciting.
It certainly is. So to all of you listening out there, if this deep dive has piqued your curiosity, I highly recommend checking out Jack Lima's work. It might just change the way you hear the world around you.